In studio right now is the District Attorney in Herkimer County, Jeff Carpenter. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Bill. How are you?
So here we are.
Here we are, the day before the election.
The day
Thank
before
goodness.
this craziness. And what a year, what an election cycle this has been. And we were talking earlier how it seems this has really been going on for almost 2 years in terms of the presidential race.
Yeah, and locally in my race, when you have a primary, that's 2 elections in a couple of months. So it's been a grind, no question about it.
It's a grind, and it all comes to a close tomorrow. So what do you say to the people of Herkimer County?
Well, I think the people in Herkimer County realize that they have a choice tomorrow, and I think the choice is clear. I'm going to continue working for them, as I always have, with the utmost professionalism, integrity, honesty. I go to work every day with their safety as my top priority, and I'm going to continue to do so if I'm blessed to be reelected.
All right, Jeff.
Anybody who's followed this race and the appearances on the show know we did not have a debate here. You gave your reasons for that, but you have been willing to kind of respond to your opponent's accusations and some issues
Absolutely.
he raised. He appeared last week. He raised 2 other issues. I'd like to ask you about those. One of them was, I don't remember the names off the top of my head, and I don't think it's necessarily important. There was a case involving an individual who was charged with the death of, in fact, his son, who was an adult.
Correct.
This happened in Herkimer County. He was questioning your handling of the case because, if I'm not mistaken, it resulted in probation. Can you talk about your handling of that case?
Well, again, Jeff, I've been very careful. I have never raised one of my opponent's past cases because there's victims out there, and I just don't think that's a proper thing to do. He's cherry-picked a handful of cases that he's been wrong on the facts on every single one of them. He comes on your show and continuously says that defendant received only probation. That's not true. It's partly true. He did receive probation. He also received jail time as a part of that. What we did in that case is there was a mental disease or defect defense raised after indictment where my psychiatrist analyzed the defendant, and because of HIPAA regulations and a sealing order, I can't get into what the findings were, nor will I. But what I did in that case is I said he had a certain condition at the time of the incident that he knew about it. He never had treatment for it, but he knew about it. So what we did is we looked at the facts of the case and said, by him bringing the weapon into the room, knowing he had that condition, he was criminally negligent, and that's the proper disposition. I know my opponent says, well, he should have been found not guilty by reason of insanity, which is an archaic term. It's mental disease or defect. And then he goes to a hospital, and then when they determine he's well, he gets out. Well, I didn't want that. I didn't want to lose control over that case. So we put him in jail and probation, and part of his probation was to seek the mental health that he needed and will get for a period of 5 years. So that was our ability to control for a period of 5 years what help he gets because it's mandated in his orders and conditions of probation. I didn't want to turn that over to somebody else and say, well, you're cured, and out the door you go. He was criminally responsible for killing his son, and we held him so. Instead of being found not criminally responsible, he's a convicted felon right now. Right. And that was the proper disposition in that case.
He questioned. He had a quote that appeared in the OD, and I apologize, I don't have it in front of me. It was a quote of you saying something to the effect of, "I hope this person gets the help they need. Otherwise, this could happen again."
There was a quote that I made along those lines. I don't have it in front of me either, and I made that several years ago. But that's why, and of course, when you're quoted by the media, you say a lot of things, and they pull a small part about of what you actually were quoted as saying. I own what I say. There's no question about it, Jeff. I always have, and I always will. But that's why we mandated that he get the help as part of his probation. So I wasn't worried that he wasn't going to get the help. I knew he was going to get it. So I think that's taken a little bit out of context, but I did say something like that. And that's why, for a period of 5 years, he's going to get the help that he needs.
So to follow up on that, I don't know if he raised this, but I guess I'm curious. While a doctor may have determined at the time he may have had a mental condition, thank you, a disease or defect, should you have gone forward with trying to secure a more, a longer sentence if there's a possibility that could happen again?
Well, again, he suffered from a mental disease or defect at the time of the incident. He's not certified criminally insane like my opponent wants you to believe. He suffered from a mental disease or defect at the time of the event, okay? So the proper disposition in that case, yeah, we could have put him in state prison for a period of 1 to 3. He would have received no psychiatric help, and he'd be out today. Instead, we're still treating this person under the orders and conditions of probation.
For 1 to 3 for being responsible for a death like that?
Criminally negligent homicide, yeah. The max is 1 1/3 to 4.
Okay, so anything else you want to note on that case?
Again, it's the cherry picking. He never mentioned in all of the times he's been on this show, I don't know now, 50 or 60 times, Bill, that he's been on.
That's a little sarcastic there, I think. But okay,
I'm starting to sound like him now and exaggerate.
I'll take the jab,
things,
but,
right?
Yeah.
But, again, he never mentioned that the person went to jail. I mean, this man killed his own son. And, he suffered from a mental disease or defect at the time, and we held him criminally responsible for it. That was the proper thing to do.
I do want to bring up, if I can, then you can follow through. And I understand the back and forth, and it has been, to me, I see this as, I know it's difficult when you have an opponent that's just throwing things at you. But for me, for the general public, we feel that it's positive. You get to hear both sides. You've been gracious enough to come in and respond each time.
Every single time.
And I think the back and forth, as ugly as it can get, is healthy for the voters of Herkimer County. It's just my personal.
Well, I don't agree. I don't agree. I think back and forth, if it's not ugly, is beneficial to the voters.
Right.
But when it is ugly, who does that benefit? I'm the Herkimer County District Attorney.
Well, they got to vote for somebody.
But they have to vote for somebody. But
right.
wouldn't the voters be better served if we stuck to the issues of the case and not make up stuff and come in here and cherry pick a few?
But
cases?
It's not our decision to.
I'm not saying it is.
Right,
I'm just
to pick
saying.
on what's made up. And I'm not saying ugly is good. What I'm saying is. Our belief is the public is a pretty responsible group of people that'll be out there voting. We trust.
Yeah, no, and I'm not laying this on you, Bill,
right.
but I'm saying he's driven this train. In fact, he came on again because he called up the show and complained that you didn't ask me the right questions twice now. I mean, so he's trying to drive this train down the ugly road, as we're calling it today. And you know what? I'm so proud of my campaign. I've never gone ugly in this campaign. That's not who I am. I'm the district attorney. I'm held to a different standard. He's a retired person. He can say and do whatever he wants. I can't. My words have ramifications for people.
All right. Jeff, do you have anything further?
I just wanted to mention the other case that he talked about involved a sergeant with the Herkimer Police Department who was overseeing and administering a SWAT certification for neighboring police agencies, several police departments, and I believe a sheriff's office. It was found by the state that this sergeant had intentionally lied to, I'll say an inspector who came in to inspect the program, instructed officers who he was overseeing to also lie to this individual who was inspecting the program, later fessed up to it. I don't remember if the state recommended a punishment, but basically what happened was he was penalized 40 hours. Sporadically, and I know that wasn't under your that was actually something that was determined by the former police chief. Your opponent said and believes that there should have been a criminal investigation for that type of behavior.
Okay.
He asked why, and I guess I'm asking as well, why was there no other step taken in handling that individual who stayed on the police department? I believe is still employed that way.
To the extent I can comment on that case, I'll say this. Number one, there is publicly known, and I think you quoted it, you read it. There is a report out there. I believe you read a redacted report.
I did.
Because that's all that is out there for members of the public. And that's all I can say about that. To the extent that if there is a criminal prosecution going on in this case, I'm not allowed to comment on it. I'm not allowed to talk about it. Because, again, what I say can affect the investigation if there is one. And I'm not even telling you there is or is not one. But for my opponent to come on here and say he's done nothing, I don't call my opponent and say, hey, Mr. Daly, here's what I'm going to do today. Here's who I'm investigating, and here's the steps we're taking. It's none of his business. It's a criminal investigation, as any other case, if there is one in this particular case. Again, and I'm not confirming there is or is not, but he would have no idea what I'm doing. I don't call him and tell him.
Right. So you're saying that there could be.
I'm not saying anything.
Right.
I'm saying if there is an investigation in this case or any other case Mike Daly is the last person we call to tell.
Okay.
Because it's not proper to do that. Does anybody understand that? I'm the district attorney. If I get on here and say a defendant, not on this case, a defendant's done this and this and this and this, well, that's putting it out on the airways to potential jurors who could hear that case. I'm affecting the outcome of that case. You can't do it. I'm ethically prohibited from doing it.
So is it fair to say at this point you have no comment on, I guess, that case? That
I have no comment on that
I don't want to
case.
call it a case. I don't want to make it seem like
Yeah, exactly.
there is an investigation. I believe this occurred in 2014. Then there was a report and everything. I don't know when this actually wrapped up, but there has been some time. If you were looking to bring charges in this case, do you have a timeline? Is there a window on what time, at what point you could act?
Well, again, I'm not going to limit it to this
Have
case.
to be hypothetical.
Yeah, hypothetically, there's a statute of limitations that we have to obviously charge somebody within. And if there's felonies, in any case, it's 5 years. For misdemeanors, it's less. Obviously, there's a statute of limitations that we have to stay within.
Got it.
Okay, but that's on any investigation.
All right.
Okay. Fair enough.
So you're saying nothing on that case, and because you feel that, not that you feel that as the DA, you really can't talk on a pending investigation, whether it is or it isn't. We're really not privy to that at this point.
Take it one step further. This man is running against me for district attorney. Suppose he were to get elected. The very first thing he's going to have to do, if there is a case there, is ask for a special prosecutor. He's not going to be able to do his job because what he did during the campaign can affect the outcome of that case. So it's irresponsible for him to even raise it at this point in time. He knows that. Again, he's a former prosecutor.
I just have to ask, is that, though, if someone's running for office and feels that a case wasn't handled properly, do you feel it is inappropriate for them to say, if I was in office, I would have done X, Y, and Z?
Well, if the case is over, you can comment on cases. But if it's a pending case, again, you're commenting. He came on this show and said that this man did X, Y, and Z, guilty of it numerous times. Well, really? He hasn't looked at one piece of evidence in that case, other than a redacted report that he gave you. That's irresponsible, especially if you want to be the top prosecutor.
The state did say, though, that the state determined that this individual lied intentionally and actually called on other officers to lie.
Well, again, that's an investigation that DCJS did. That is not an investigation criminally with regard to my office or any other police agency.
Okay.
All right, I'll give you the last word here to talk about, again, why the people of Herkimer County should elect you come tomorrow.
Well, I think the most important thing is credibility, and I've come on your show every single time, and for example, I drove up here today and I heard his commercial twice where once again he gets on the radio or he has a spokesperson saying in 5 years Carpenter's taken only one case to trial. He admitted right on this show that there were 2 in front of Judge Crandall alone. I gave you the names of the 7 or 8 other trials that we've had. In fact, if he wants to go now back 5 years, I believe it would be within the period. I tried the restaurant owner down in Richfield Springs that raped a woman. He's still in state prison. We've had numerous trials, and he knows that. He came on your show and admitted it, yet today he's still running an ad trying to affect the voters tomorrow that says I've had only 1 trial in 5 years when he's clearly admitted that's just not true. It's credibility. This man wants to be the top law enforcement officer in Herkimer County. He's quoted as saying it's the most powerful position in a county. That's dangerous, then, to give a man like that who's willing to mislead the voters, who's willing to give you statistics that just aren't true. That's a very dangerous proposition. With Jeff Carpenter, you know what you're getting. Okay, I've been doing this job for 4.5 years. I go to work every single day with my constituent safety as the top priority, and the crime rate has decreased every single year. I'm very proud of that. I've been going door to door every single night and on weekends talking to people. I've come on here and said we have a heroin issue. That's what I'm hearing from the public. Again, it's great to go door to door because you hear what's troubling the public.
Right,
and we're going to deal with that issue as best we can, which is exactly why, tomorrow I know a lot of people may not be voting because they don't like the 2 top candidates. But I'm going to tell you from a district attorney's point of view, the candidate who is going to best protect our borders is who you should be voting for because that's where heroin comes from. And that's plaguing our nation. So that's a concern for me. And I'm going to continue to serve the public as I always have, just up front and honestly.
Jeff Carpenter, thanks so much for coming in. I appreciate it.